I have to ask, was this song on the nose in feeling by intention? Because I'm now 3 tracks into the wonder still awaiting, and that's the sentiment that I feel in terms of, what's the word I'm looking for? Presuming the future of our time together and experiencing XANDRIA perhaps for the first time, at least in consideration of their works. Because I am in a phase of, what are the wonders still awaiting in the remaining 3 tracks I have lined up? I don't know, maybe I'm not the only one to notice that, it's just kind of funny. But I'm excited to humor more from this group. Again, in terms of my capacity of approach, I'm still relatively fresh in my days with XANDRIA. I only found about them a couple days ago because of the Mortimia collaboration on part of their front lady Amber, and that was such a fulfilling introduction for me. But it has been patterned in the past of Mortimia, and I've done this with many artists as well. I figured I'll humor XANDRIA someday. In fact, with fast intention, as I said in my second video, I think, spotlighting this on 2 Worlds. I don't remember if I said it with Reborn. I considered the fact that many of you have recommended a long list of European talent names, and I appreciate that, because again, I love getting into that space, given there's so much talent there. And I welcome your recommendations. I've kept a pretty extensive list at this point, and I knew from reference, though I hadn't perused them yet, in terms of determining a selection of tracks to entertain, and we'll get to most of those other recommendations slowly but surely. It takes time. I'm making progress. Admittedly. I know I'm really slow on the uploads. I know, I'm working on that. But XANDRIA was a name that came up before. And I said, because of the Mortimia collab, I'm going to fast track this. And on top as well, in reason with Amber's vocal talents, I'm like, I got to hear more. And 3 tracks in, the creativity, and yes, the vocal range, which went even broader than I thought. The depth, whether it be on message, the last song, You'll Never Be Our God, that gives you a lot to consider. It's a dense piece. Dense in a good way. Because I know some people might use that in the negative. But I'm having a great time. Especially on music imagination. This is why I love Europe. And symphonic metal. And I have to say, XANDRIA is a top regard for me. I've only listened to this album. I know they've got a pretty extensive back catalog on pre the hiatus they took, and this is the resurgence after being reborn, so to speak. But yes, I truly feel we are in a phase of the wonders still awaiting, especially in Discovery. I can't wait to find out what the wonders are, including the title track by the same name. I'm excited, and I think for those of you that perhaps this will be a first introduction to XANDRIA's work, you will be too. I know many of you are going to be, I'm sure, long-time listeners, and again, I'm still relatively young in my days in comparison to you, I'm sure, but I'm having a great time. As I've said many times, I love music as an art form, and XANDRIA just embodies exactly why. So let's humor this song together, The Wonders Still Awaiting, and explore the remainder of the album, at least together. Although I will tell you, it might not be, I'm not covering the entire album in this case. I do sometimes, there's some exception, but I do try and be fair to the other artists I've been consulted, and I've got quite a number. I did buy their album outright, so tracks 7 through 13 I'm probably going to listen to on my own, but 6 I'm spotlighting with you, at least in present record. We're now on to number 4. I'm having a great time, so 2 more left after this. I can't wait to listen to everything, quite frankly, and I hope you have a great time with them too. Again, like I said, some of you might be approaching a first introduction regard, maybe even to my content as well. I love the fellowship aspect that music can award, right? Especially on first introductions, and we have this a lot with European talent. It's been a wonderful treat in the broad range of artists I've considered and had a lot of fun with. And had great exchanges with you in the comments too. I love even though, again, I'm taking a bit of an unorthodox path in that they're not collaborative experiences of enjoying a part of, us being physical in the same room together listening to a song. The exchanges we have in the comment sections are good enough for me that it's quite satisfying, especially for somebody like me, like I've said many times, who I don't have the point of relation in regards to my music tastes, nor my adventurism, as other peers of mine do, with all due respect to them. Music is a very subjective thing, and I guess they've got their tastes, but I'm like, you're missing out, quite frankly. You're not. You're, I'm sure, about to entertain a great work alongside. I'm sure that'll be my experience and takeaway. It's been for 3 songs now. I think we'll be in the same camp of XANDRIA at this point has been exquisite 3 times in. I'm happy with them. I can't wait to humor more. And I hope you have the same feeling as I do if you come from that angle. And if you're a longtime fan, you're getting the perspective of somebody who, as I've said many times, fresh on the scene with them. But I cannot wait to humor more. So, The Wonder's Still Awaiting. There's a visualizer to accompany. I'm going to pull that up alongside the song. And as per usual, if you're not familiar with my content, I do try and accommodate listener taste to the best extent that I can. So if you want to read along with the narrative of the piece as explored by the song, you will have it available to you in the video. So no need to go find a separate tab or anything. You'll see the lyrics pop up in a second as soon as the song/video commences. Hang on a second, let me get it ready. All right, here we go together. More XANDRIA. I'm happy. Oh, wow. What beautiful landscapes. I mean, the triangles kind of feel like other groups have seen the album covers, too. I think Epica comes to mind. I'll get to them eventually, too. And speaking of triangles, Adam Phantom's done that too. There's a couple groups where that shape is a particular signature, and I guess XANDRIA is utilizing it well. Especially for such a beautiful tune to accompany. On entrance, yes, 100% The Wonder's Still Awaiting. Okay, key change. I like the variety. Here we go back into the original entry. Great map to this piece. It's always a pleasure listening to Amber, isn't it? For those of you first-time listeners. The different places she can venture out with her voice are just intoxicating to humor. I feel like she's kind of whispering alongside to the choir integration. Just takes on that effect. Here comes the inflection. This is beautiful. I was going to say, great place for a break. And wonderful entrance point into that. Oh, that's a wonderful linger effect. Another key variation? Let's see. Or maybe it'll return. Maybe. There's that operatic flair I love. Great close return. Because it's still slightly different, I think, from the original key choice on the chorus sections. Yeah. I was waiting for that inflection, like, that'll tell me for sure. Amber, you're an angel with your voice. You know, I've said many times in regards to European artists I humor, I truly feel honored, right? Being a humble American, to sit in the graces and inquire on artists that truly do deserve such reverence on craft. XANDRIA is just the latest name I've humored, and I'm like, yes, I'm in love. It's just beautiful, you know? As I said many times, music for me, in terms of the artistic expressions, just connects readily. Especially in the symphonic metal territory, I love dimension and reach within songs, and this piece has such a grand performance to it. Even on visual capacity, I mean, the VFX here are great. Better than some movies lately, I have to say. You know, many of you know, if you're familiarized to my work, I cover, as I said, an extensive range of artistic styles and languages, and cinema has been a founding presence on this channel, so I'm very well familiarized to what's happening right now, I would say, with some... Not always. Some studios get it right, but some lackluster, you know, examples. I'm not going to take a segue of that, other than saying that XANDRIA was an exquisite, like, cinematic performance to watch. Like, if I was in the theater, I'd be like, yes, these VFX are beautifully realized on screen. I think they have such a grand pull that would be... if you saw them appear there, I'd be like, hey, this fits in nicely. It's like its own mini-movie. With a beautiful music palette to boot. I love the structure of that song. The key changes worked very well for me, especially on the transitions going back in. Clear path and structuring, and again, XANDRIA's voice, you know, I've said before, if you're not familiar, or not XANDRIA, sorry, Amber, if you're familiar with European talents, especially ones that I've humored in the past, you'll remember on discussion with Amber, as I was saying, if you're not familiar to her, she is a French and a Greek singer, I believe, even though XANDRIA is a German group in attribution from what I've seen on record. You'll know in this channel's history I've humored other French talents. Amber is the first Greek artist, so she's definitely spotlighting individuality and honor in that way, and I'm sure maybe there'll be other Greek musicians to follow, and I can't wait to humor them too. Europe is always such a treat, but in terms of French vocalists on the operatic side, well, I can also say German too, for consideration of the group. Okay, there's two dynamics I'll bring in here. Emmanuelle Zoldan of Sirenia, who I am so charmed by as well. She has I think a deeper range and a more prominent French accent. Let's say, for example, in the German capacity, Uli and Amber are close in that, compared to Emmanuelle, who's exquisite, they're a bit lighter. I mean, Uli is like true operatic. And she can do a good melodic balance too. The operatic flair still comes in on part of her voice. Amber has a very mainstream rock sound to her on part, and then she can also get to, I'm not trying to, by the way, compare everybody to the other band, like this one's better or not, they're all great in my opinion. I love Emmanuelle, I love Uli, and Amber is a wonderful first name to entertain, especially on someone who's in his earliest days of being welcomed as a XANDRIA fan. I understand I'm self-imposing myself in that role, but like, you know, who wouldn't? Anywho, Amber has, of course, a scream range that makes her very unique in that regard, but she also has the lighter tonality that kind of matches Uli in respect, but she can return to a more mainstream rock sound in her voice, especially on more ballad-centric parts of the song, and it's just such an exquisite return. Her voice just naturally transitions, just carries the song along with it, but this piece was paced beautifully. I love the artistry of it. It's a captivating work. It's enthralling. I like the scenic nature to the lyrics too. Goodbye until your last day. It's so tragic. See the star. Well, it's kind of tragic, and yet like it's got like a heart of longing. You know, maybe abstractly. See the stars. Hear the melodies play. The notes that show us the forgotten way. Oh, it sounds so romantic now that I read it again. It's like not just the song that embrace. Well, especially the forgotten way. That really pulls it, because that's, I believe, a variation on the original choruses. Yeah, they changed it up for the final one. That really brings in the romantic flair. And you know, I I'm in a romance of a lot of these groups. You know, hey, I guess I'm a single guy who's desperate for love. And I've turned to the music world to fulfill that void. I mean, you find love sometimes in the best of places and the most unexpected. European music is one such example, especially on XANDRIA's regard. So, I don't know. I mean, I know it's probably a bizarre point to bring up that, like, they fulfill the they fulfill the romantic partner role for a lovesick single guy. You get my point. I'll move on. Although, yeah, we fair. That's most of the European talents I've humored on a general note. Actually, well, let's say all of them. But XANDRIA just really pulls you in. This truly is the wonder still awaiting, in my opinion. That name, it just perfectly embodies the energy of the pieces and our journey together with XANDRIA, especially on a first introduction. I'd love to hear if that's maybe, again, like I said, the angle you come from, or also I welcome the regard for those of you who are longtime XANDRIA fans. I love hearing the range, again, that we take and approach. Given that it adds a bit of a diverse palette, especially in familiarity and discussion, and what I can learn as well from many of you in terms of the correspondence. I'm sure many of you who are knowledgeable on XANDRIA to a deeper level than I am have plenty to say in regard on their behalf, and I'd love to hear about it down below, as well as your opinion on the overall piece if you wish to disclose your perspective on it. I love the wonder still awaiting it. For me, that's just an exquisite ballad number that provides, again, like I said, a wonderful path forward to the future of XANDRIA. And as far as I'm concerned, even beyond the selection of tracks I picked, 'cause I have two remaining in what I'm going to spotlight with you in first introductions together, doors open, as far as I'm concerned, to handling, that's not the word I meant to say, to spotlighting them in the future, and perhaps sharing them with new prospective fans, maybe like yourself. I love that music can award that fellowship quality. I love being able to instill that on this channel, especially with such talents that I've been longing to hear more of. I love spotlighting and highlighting good art, because you don't always find that in the world. Especially these days in the artistic landscape, generally speaking. Not necessarily, though, in music. Music I've been in universal love with. XANDRIA, 100% appeals. And the song, no different from the previous free... Well, I mean, different, of course, in its conception, but no different in a point of reverence, right, from what I've entertained thus far. I'm having a great time with XANDRIA. I can't wait to hear more. Thank you so much for watching this video. Before you bounce, feel free to drop a like and comment, subscribe to this channel with a ding on the bell, and share this video with your friends. And consider checking out the description here. There you'll find links to my other channels, as well as addresses to my other social media accounts and ways you can help support my work if you feel so inclined. May God bless you, and looking forward to when our paths cross again.